welcome to another episode of Goodbye Bullshit, Hello Happiness. Today I have one of my favorite people, Ani. She's a friend, she was a client, and I thought what better way. She had some questions, so we're here. And if you're gonna see this a little bit later, we're outside because this is the time of coronavirus. We're trying to keep our social distance and be out in the open and still continue our daily life. So, and the reason you're not seeing her because I'd like to keep her privacy and not to have her face all over the social media and internet. So Ani, would you like to tell us a little bit about your journey or what you want to share as far as what you've learned, how these things have benefited you, and whatever you like to tell us?
Yeah, my journey started 2018, I believe it was, when I first met you. My father was going through some health issues. You know, it was a time in my life. Work was not going as I wanted to, have it going. So I was in search of, some happiness, I guess. And then I met Atousa. I looked her up, I found her on the internet, and it's been the best find ever.
Thank you.
I'm lucky to have her in my life. I think I feel happier since. I don't feel like I felt like things were just a burden in the past. Now I'm able to kind of sit back and relax around issues that I have and know that things are gonna work out, which always at the end they seem to work out, but realizing that more and more. And the one thing she taught me is when something is going wrong, just ask. The way she asked the questions, like why do you think that way, all these questions that I tend to do now, I ask myself, well, so what if that's happening, what would happen, what's the worst thing that can happen? That seems to help me a lot. So
good. Yeah. I'm glad. For me, remembering when you first came until now, you're definitely happier, calmer, and I think maybe I didn't tell you, I use you as an example of your family life, how it changed before and after, especially with your husband. And I remember I didn't know his name, and the first time you mentioned his name, I was like, oh, look at that.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, definitely the relationship is going so much better. I think I'm more tolerant of him. I've left him kind of to himself and accepted him as he is, and he's definitely come to me more, meaning that I guess he doesn't run away from me as much as he did in the past. I guess I'm more tolerable to be around. The job situation, thanks to Atousa, talking to her, what I always wanted to do was have my own business because I wanted things the way I wanted to have them, not have somebody else, I guess, tell me how to, do my job. And since I've known her, I've opened up my own clinic, and I'm happy. I haven't looked back. It has its challenges, but I actually enjoy the challenges.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm proud of this lady. She's done amazing, very fast, very amazing things. So what would you like to talk about for this session of Goodbye Bullshit, Hello Happiness?
I want to talk about other people besides ourselves, besides our family, especially when we come across somebody that we perceive as being difficult. Like how do we understand, or how do we relax around these people more, mainly to benefit ourselves? Because when I come across somebody I don't want to be around, it just takes a lot out of me, I have to say. And I think about it and ponder about it, throughout the day, even the next day. Like, what can you say about how do we handle situations like that?
I have to break that down into different parts. Again, one of the main part of what you said is that a lot of people feel, especially if they're going on the path of enlightenment, healing, spirituality, all that stuff, that they have to become sort of okay with everybody and okay with what everybody does to them. To that I say goodbye bullshit, hello happiness. Because, and I know, like, I've gotten this from my ex, that he says, you know, he just becomes abusive on text, and then, you know, if I say something back, his response is like, well, you're supposed to be the healer, but I'm not supposed to be the punching bag either.
Okay.
So part of that is that, again, allowing yourself to do and say what feels best for you at the moment, and trusting that even in that, even if you say, like, later say, well, maybe I shouldn't have said that, you can always say, hey, forgive me, I really didn't want to say that. But in that moment, that whole conversation and whatever is happening for a reason, for all parties involved. But giving yourself permission to walk away, not take it, because I see a lot of people say, okay, I have to sit in this because I'm spiritual, I'm enlightened, I'm a healer, I'm a this, I'm a that, or I want to be that way. I have to sit here and take this. No. Nowhere does it say that if somebody, you know, is being abusive, annoying, whatever, it's just their negativity is getting to you. Nowhere does it say you should stay there. So again, you should go with your own guiding system, what feels good to you.
There are certain instances where I cannot remove myself, especially if I have a patient in the chair who's being extremely difficult. Even though I want to kind of end it where it is, there has been situations where I have to continue, and kind of a lot of thoughts goes through my head, like, I really want to end this, I don't want to, and then resistance happens. I don't know, it just becomes a tough situation.
And then that's the second part that I think we've talked about, and you've been doing great in that, to mention, is you seeing yourself in there as like, okay, I can't go anywhere. This is happening for a reason again. What is this showing me about me? One of the main things, especially now that everybody's cooped up together in the house with their families, is, which now you've got a good training on that, don't point the finger back at them, point it at yourself. Okay, why am I right now getting upset? Why am I getting angry? Why am I getting sad? Why am I getting frustrated? And then when you put that back to you, you learn something about you. Oh, hey, look, I have this thing right now here that is feeling like this is not fair, and they're getting angry because they feel like they're being mistreated because, oh, look, this happened again. And or it could be, you know, you don't feel safe, and so you just want to lash out at them. Whatever the case may be, you'll see more about yourself, why you're reacting that way.
Right.
And even in that, though, for you, that it's a patient that's sitting there, you still have a choice. You really do have a choice. And when you break it down into your choices, you can see, you can even tell your patient, you know, I feel like you're not happy. Maybe it's best that you should leave.
I have done that with this patient. He was, he got, kind of escalated. He didn't like that.
But that's the whole point. You're taking on their behavior because it got escalated and they were not happy. That sort of brought something back on you, which we can't please everybody, and you're doing what's best for you.
Right.
All we can do, you gotta say goodbye to I have to, I need to. Everything, you gotta bring it down to a choice and what's good for you. I had a client not too long ago, not actual client, they had texted me, they wanted to come and see me, And they said, the only way they could come, it was like, this was on a Friday and they wanted to come on a Saturday. Can I come tomorrow? I'm like, no, I'm all booked.
Right.
And then it's like, well, I won't have time. I said, well, then good luck on your search. Then the same person, I think it was like 2-3 weeks later, said, okay, I want to make an appointment. I said, great, these are my availability. We said, okay. And as I do with everybody, I send the form ahead of time. They have to fill it out and send it back to me. I've been doing this for years. Nobody's complained. Nobody told me it was hard. She said, well, I can't fill out the form. I don't have a printer. I said, well, do you have an iPhone? She's like, yes. And I gave her exact instructions on how to do it on her iPhone. Oh, this is so difficult. I just don't even want to do this. Why does it have to be so difficult? I said, and I could feel her anger, but I didn't take on her anger. And I didn't go, oh my God, I'm losing a client. Oh my God, she's a client. I need to please her in order for her to come. I said, I appreciate your feedback. I've never received that feedback from anybody else, but I'll look into it for the future clients. But thank you for sharing. But right now, this is the way it is.
Right.
And I left it. And then she came back and then she said, okay, I found the app that I did it in. And she filled out the form and sent it to me.
Right. No, there is, I have to say, 9 out of 10, I'm either able to remove certain people out of the practice. I do what feels good, and money, I don't put that as the main factor. With this one, I have been challenged. He definitely was the most difficult one in the past few months.
Usually the ones that come into your life, though, as we've seen, they've got a good message for you.
That's what I was trying to understand.
Because
he almost was looking for attention. He almost really wanted me to like him, which I was resisting liking him. I was being judgmental. I mean, those things I could see in myself. I think a lot of resistance was happening from my end. I just didn't know how to handle him. I wanted him to be a certain way as a patient,
But I think, again, even with family members or with close friends, a lot of people think like they have to keep them in their lives just because they're came under the title of family, or they came under the title of a close friends that you've been friends with 20 years. We all change, and that's the beauty of why we're in this life, is to change, to evolve, and each day you're gonna be different. And especially like in married life, I tell people, you gotta, every day you look at this person, that's a new person. You gotta unconditionally love this person for who they are today. Tomorrow they might not be that person that you see today. Tomorrow it could be somebody else. And same thing for you to them. So allowing, just because somebody's there doesn't mean you have to keep them in your life, and doesn't mean you're judging or resenting them. There are a lot of people that are not in my life right now, but honestly, there are many days that I actually sit there. Anybody that pops into my head that I've, either family or friends that are no longer in my life, I do send them love.
Right.
I sit there, I bring them into, love, light, and I don't hold anything for them, but I don't want them in my life anymore either.
Right. Well, with this certain patient, I sent in my head, I guess I didn't feel as negatively towards him after the whole thing happened, and I did send him love afterwards, and that kind of softened things. And then I was trying to see why, I had to deal with that. Yeah, I think, I did learn a few things about myself with my interaction. And, the same thing when something happens with my husband. Like, I remember going up to him and after him making me upset, just saying, I forgive you. And that kind of like jolts him out. She's like, oh, that gives me a hug and says, I forgive you too.
That's beautiful.
It just totally clears everything out,
It is. Forgiveness is a great thing. Especially it's harder in married life and with kids. But you have to forgive them and forgive yourself too. I mean,
Yeah.
again, we are all evolving, and like I said earlier, there might be a moment that at that moment things are in a place and it just feels good to maybe scream and yell and whatever, and then 2 minutes later you're like, next time I don't want to do that, and that didn't feel good. I forgive myself for doing that, and go to that person too and say, hey, ask for forgiveness.
Right.
Please, sorry, forgive me for yelling. That's not the way I wanted to handle it. But yeah, forgiveness goes a long way for, especially forgiving yourself, forgiving the other person.
Right, and me, I mean, as you and I talked about this before, I do judge myself quite a lot and other people, and I think forgiveness has been the really good way of getting rid of that in a lot of situations.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because what happens is that you get into that judgment mode, and then the judgment makes you feel more insecure and vulnerable, and because you're like, oh my God, I've done something wrong, now everybody can see it, and you're like, and then you're judging, it's all these fingers, and then the anger and frustration starts building up because you're trying to protect yourself. You got yourself into this mess. And what forgiveness does, and seeing it first, you do a great job on that, the self-awareness. Hey, look, I judge myself, let me just stop, I accept I did this, I forgive myself, and please forgive me, and I forgive you as well.
Yeah,
that sort of calms everything down. And
yeah, and I do see, even if I say it in my head towards somebody, I see an immediate shift, and the power of thought, which is fascinating to me, what we think, how that plays out.
Yeah. I put the workshop out. The workshop we've done together, the energy workshop, that I don't remember. I don't know if you remember the one we did remotely, that we brought, I asked everybody to bring someone in their mind. It happened. You guys didn't coordinate it with those people ahead of time. You were at the workshop, and I said, whoever you want, bring it into your mind's eye, and whatever it is that you want to tell them, send them love, send them gratitude, forgive them, whatever it was. And every time I've done that, and especially with that group, it was everybody had a very powerful experience. Yeah. And I think in some cases too, after the workshop, when they went home, the people that they had done this with, they reacted differently. There was a shift in them.
And I did this, I remember I had my daughter in my mind, and I have to say, I have the best relationship with her now that I've had since, up to that point. I know she's getting older and things are changing also, but yeah, things have changed in a positive way.
She's shifting with you. You're both shifting together, and we get into these situations again, the relationship, the issue becomes everybody's trying to keep themselves safe. It's like we're all in this battle. We get up every day and we feel like everybody is against us. The whole world is against us, and we have to keep ourselves protected from the outside force. Exactly. And so as soon as we go, all the guards come up, and as soon as the guards come up, we go into our fighting stance, and then everything that comes is like, well, what do they want? What does that mean? Yeah. And it's just a constant fight, and we're not really willing to see ourselves in the other person. And that's why I said, when you point the finger at yourself, you're not focusing on what is going on with them, but how am I reacting? Because at the end of the day, you can only change yourself. Nobody can change. Even my clients, when they come, I tell them, it's your journey, you got to do it. I guide you, I do all these things, but if you don't want to go there, there's nothing I can do. You got to want that for yourself. And it's the same thing here. Once you let your guards down, there is no fight.
Right. Well, it's also seeing ourselves as not separate.
Yeah.
from each other, you know.
Yeah, and that's the first thing that you said is like, well, how do we keep that oneness?
Right.
And it's at the end of the day knowing that everybody is going through the same things. We are different and unique, each one of us, in what we came here to accomplish. But other than that, we are all here for this human experience, and everybody's going through life from where they are and what's happened to them, and depending on what level they are in their lifetime or in this lifetime, what level they're trying to get to in their journey. And we're all walking, and you know, some walk faster, some walk slower, some like to take the scenic route, some, you know, like to zoom through, and you know, we gotta allow that for it to be. But again, doesn't mean if I'm going that way, you have to walk with me.
Right.
You have to, shoulds, need to, all that bullshit. Say goodbye. Don't do it. And just
keeping that in
keep
mind
yourself.
Makes you also, knowing that everybody has their own journey, makes the forgiveness part easier.
Yeah.
And makes the judgment less, I guess.
Yeah. Forgiveness, one other point I want to make, forgiveness, because a lot of people seem to have, not a lot of people, but some people, forgiveness becomes a little bit difficult and challenging, is because when somebody's done something very hurtful, like even in case of abuse, it's hard for them to forgive. Forgiveness doesn't excuse what they have done. We're not saying what you know, I forgive you, what you did is okay. Forgiveness is saying, I see you've got whatever you've got going with you, for you, on your journey, on your path. I don't want to be part of that anymore. And in order for me to be able to stay in my own energy, my own space, I'm forgiving you so I can move away from this. Because as long as you keep attaching to that act, to that experience, you still have that connection and that resistance and that back and forth. But the forgiveness sort of like separates you and says, I'm cutting the cord, I'm staying back, I'm going my way now, I'll let you go. So that's why forgiveness becomes important.
For yourself.
Yeah, for yourself. It's not, it's never about okaying what somebody did to you. It's just you are doing it for yourself, that you're forgiving them and you're moving forward in your life. Anything else on oneness we can cover?
I guess eventually everything is going to be revealed to us. What this whole big picture is about.
What your path is. The path is funny. I think at the end of the day, the basis, when you look at all the whatever teacher you follow, whatever guru you follow, whatever religion, the base of the religion you follow, they all teach you you are creating this world. And it shows you that you are grace yourself, you are divine yourself, you are the universe. So once you start feeling that and you are more in touch with that, I think that's the truth of what we're here to see. It's not actually for us to really do anything. That happens naturally, but getting to that realization that you are divine and
finding that path to yourself.
Yeah. We are grace, we're divine, we're worthy of receiving, and this is just an experience. It's like it's the illusion is revealed, so you're not taking, because everybody, I think the human experience is we get too attached to things emotionally and mentally. And the truth is detachment from these things in a way that it's not like you don't experience it anymore, but then it's just an experience, allowing it to be an experience, and you see sort of the truth that, you know, one of the things, I actually have artwork on this too, is like every day you put on your costume of like, okay, I'm a mom now, you know, okay, what does the mom want to do? You know, I'm a female, you know, the costume of the female wants to do. Like these actors in a play, you change acts, but you see that, hey, you know, I'm this way with this and this way with
Well,
that.
being able to know that's what you're just putting on that act. So almost like watching it.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that's the final reveal, is that you see it all completely, and you're not getting pulled by every act, or you're not getting pulled by every rub and everything. So it's like, oh, it's really, you're just flowing and floating with everything. To me, I think that's the truth that you get, that you see it and you're like, oh, I'm here. What can I do now? And
sounds good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
This was great.
Anytime.
Yes. Thank you guys for joining us for another session of Goodbye Bullshit, Hello Happiness. And I'll talk to you soon. Thank you. When you come to see that every thought, every feeling is a choice, and that you, the Buddha self, are in charge of making the choices, to realize that what we do and how we feel are based on the choices we make, and no one else is responsible for the choices but you. Then you start to see the choices that feel as if you are burning in fire, and choices that make you feel at peace. Also, you realize that the choices don't matter either, since there is no right or wrong. You are the director of the movie that is your life. You can choose the script, the actors, the location, title, and you can choose to change any of it at any time. And with every choice, you are creating and watching a different movie. The only constant is your Buddha self, that does not associate with any part of the movie and is just enjoying watching the movie as it unfolds, knowing that all is well.